How's it going, legends? So I've been asked by one of my Patreon members, how can he record his amp? Now, like always, this is not a one size fits all because it depends what the amp is and what type of output features it does have. Some amps do have direct outs, so you could run out of the direct out and then you would go straight into an audio interface, because he was talking about getting a Focusrite. Now, all of these type of things are, you're going to start stepping up in money, right? So if you do have the direct out, which some they have embedded IRs. Now, embedded IRs are impulse responses, and they're simulating the speakers or a mic'd speaker cabinet. So the old way would have been to get a microphone, normally like an SM57, a Sennheiser 421, I think it's a Beyerdynamic 161, condenser mics, ribbon mics, dynamic mics, all this type of stuff. Running that into a mic pre, then putting that into the mixing board, recording it onto the tape. This is like back in the day. Then a lot of people still do have like an isolated cab where they mic the cab. Then what happened with the inventions that come up, there's a thing called a digital load box. Now this is, a load box is strictly talking about for a tube amplifier. I'd probably even still run one with a solid state and run it into a load box. So what a load box does is, a speaker cabinet is what's called a load. A tube amplifier needs the load attached to the tube head, otherwise it'll blow the amp up. It's called a runaway cycle. It just runs away because there's more technical electronic answer, but that's what's going to happen. So what you need to do is get something called a load box and run the cable that would go into your speaker cabinet into this load box. Now, it definitely can get way more complicated, because what I've ended up doing is I've got my speaker cabinets here, but then I've also got what's called an amp switcher. So on my table here, I've got a 2-notes load box, and I've also got an amp switcher. Now that load box is simulating a speaker cabinet that then you would run the output out of that into your interface, and then that runs into your DAW. And you've also got to set up your DAW, which is your digital audio workstation, and the pathway that is going and the input of that and all that type of stuff. So there's a lot of different ways. Like I said, some amps do have direct outs, and that's when you could go direct out into your audio interface. But then you've got to sort of question what type of IRs do they have. Now, IRs are impulse responses. Once again, we're emulating a speaker cabinet with a certain type of speaker with a certain type of microphone, because a greenback will sound different to a V30. There's so many varieties of speakers out there. You've got DV77s, you've got and they really do change the tone. You've got EV, I think they're called 121s or 12Ls or something. They're really expensive, but there's just so many options on how you can do this. So that's why it's very hard to say 100% this is how you would do something. And a lot of this is going to be dependent on budget. So budget is going to be a huge factor when you start trying to figure out what you're doing and how you're going to capture these amps. Budget is a major factor, because I could be like running one of the cables to a spare room with an ISO cabinet, and then having that like a mic'd isolated cabinet in another room, so then I can use my speaker monitors and all this type of stuff. So basically, long story even longer, is that you're going to need some type of capture device. So start with the load box, then you got to start looking at IRs. I really think that 2-notes is just, for metal, is absolutely leading this, and they're just amazing. So I've got a Torpedo Live, there's Captor X's, there's older Captors you can get really cheap, but if you go down the mic type of thing, you're going to have to get an SM57, a Sennheiser, whatever you got to research, you know, you got to get your mic and put it right on the cab. And like this one here, it's actually the cover comes off, and this has got Eminence Wizards, so that's another type of speaker. I've got Eminence Wizards, G12T 75s and V30s. And with my amp switching system, any of these three heads can run through any of these three cabinets, and all I have to do is reach here, and I've got a switching system that selects three different cabs, plus the load box, which is simulating the load of these cabinets. And then you open up a software program. If you'd like me to go more in depth into the software and what that looks like with the 2 notes, we can look at that more. But yeah, that's basically it. It's just a quick off the cuff video today, not super edited. We're just trying to explain an answer for one of my Patreon members. And yeah, so that's pretty much what I've got to say on that. If you have any more questions and you're part of my Patreon community, just message me there. Until next time, legends, keep smashing out those riffs, and I'll see you in the next one. Catch us later.